Oh, it's finally here. A shed converted to the specific purpose of earning passive income with hard drive mining. This is the latest addition to the VoskCoin mining business, and it will either be the best decision, the best investment I have made, or the worst. Well, maybe not the worst, but it's not going to be great. So this is a Amish built shed that was very close to just being almost entirely done by them. Obviously they built it, they brought in their electrician, they did the interior. It's a nearly plug and play. But let me just take a step back and why. So I got into hard drive mining in a very big way over the last year, thanks to the evergreen miners. These are plug and play miners for farming Chia XCH. This coin wants to basically be a mix of like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? It's mineable, but it uses a mining algorithm that has a much lower energy impact. For example, one of these miners uses about 100 watts as opposed to Bitcoin miners that use over 3,100 watts each. That means these cost a couple dollars per month to run as opposed to several dollars per day to operate like a Bitcoin mining rig. I did some hard drive mining back in 2017, but didn't really go that great. Hoping this goes better, but that's kind of the gist of like what I'm targeting and what really inspired me to go down this route. You don't have to get these plug and play miners. You can DIY Chia farmers. I mean, some people have some super cool server-like deployments. Some people just throw hard drives on a shelf, which is more my style and skill level. And then there are some other plug and play hard drive miners that are coming to market for Chia farming as well. So this is an exciting ecosystem. The coin's trading near an all-time low. So I have built my VoskCoin hard drive mining shed dedicated to this stuff at the all-time low, pretty much close enough to this cryptocurrency, which means that I am or I've done this at a great time. Now to bring it to the actual shed. It's 12 by 20, 240 square feet. It's a little oversized for what it is, but I'm going to double this as a field office. I wanted this to have room for expansion, to have some racks in the middle, throw my hard drive miners on there, deploy my own server rack in here, and then put a bunch of hard drives that I plot for hard drive mining myself over there. And I'm really excited to have a field office that has AC because, yep, we're going to be cooling this thing. And I'm using 2 Daikin mini splits. Each one does 1.5 tons of cooling. These are not server grade, so I cannot run them into the winter. It depends how you look at it. Some could look at that as an oversight. I just didn't want to spend too much money, and I really only need one of these for the foreseeable future to operate. I'm actually installing 2, as you can see. So, having just recently got this, walking through, I think everything looks great. I'm excited. I linked up with a local HVAC technician. Him setting these up was a breeze. It was pretty smooth sailing. We used line height, so I think it looks like a pretty clean install. We ran the drain tube down a little bit further so it's not dripping on the side of the shed because this is a wood shed. And I'm normally a vinyl guy, big time. But I'll be frank, they didn't have a good green vinyl. So I was like, let's do wood. I think this will also be fun in the fact that it'll be easy to repaint this in the future if I ever want to do so. I think it's a little bit easier to cut things in and replace them and get some touch-up paint. It may not be the cleanest thing ever, but when you've got vinyl like my gray mining shed behind me, it's just a little bit more finesse work, harder to deal with. So these are all set up and ran and they're already operational. But how is that even possible? It's because my electrician has already come and gone because the building was wired. So as of right now, I am 1 week out from receiving this thing and it's ready to go. It's operational. After I record this video, I'm going to start throwing miners up in there. I don't mean literally because that'd be weird and gross, feeling like Ron Weasley from Harry Potter with the slugs. Slugma. But what I did before I can get more juice pulled from my electricity provider is I just tapped into the existing service that I'm not fully utilizing here on my gray mining shed. And some people may ask, well, why didn't you just put these in there? Well, these are hard drives. They're more delicate mining rigs. They lose a lot of efficiency when they get hot, and if you're air cooling, they just consistently stay dirty. So I wanted to create a nice, clean, closed environment. These mini splits are super efficient. These hard drive miners and just hard drives in general don't use all that much electricity, so they're not producing that much heat. This building has been insulated in the ceiling, the walls, and even the floor with styrofoam and double bubble under the plywood. This thing's sitting on 4x4 skids. I'm gonna go ahead and just dress that up with a little bit of gravel around it. But you know, it's simple, it's effective. I wanted to do a concrete base, but it just ended up being a waste of money. I would need to pour basically 2 of these to even get to the minimum of 1 concrete truck, and it would have just increased my cost by several $1,000s. And as much as I love concrete, I just couldn't really justify it. The only downside, you know, really that I'm missing out on, my electric company gives me a bunch of grief about mounting a meter to what they call an impermanent structure because it's not on concrete. So I have to waste money on a standoff like that over there. And the weight load for a wood floor like this is just never going to be the same as even just a very basic 4-inch, you know, 4,000 PSI concrete slab. Running into the back of this is going to be the electrical wiring, but it's actually down here in that conduit in the ground. What you see here is a box containing my Ethernet cables, which have already been trenched. I bought like just the cheap indoor-outdoor rated ones off of Amazon. I don't think they're really outdoor rated if you ask me, but I run them in conduit anyway. So I have the cables in conduit, just like that gray piping like you see here, and then they're running in here. And a good function of this box also is I'm not only just running, so I run 2 Ethernet lines, the main line and a backup line, because I'm all about redundancy. I'm sick of stuff going down. I just have to try to do better up front, and even if that costs me more in infrastructure, I'm playing the long game. This hard drive mining shed, I want this thing to run for not days, months, but years. I am playing the long game absolutely until I'm dead. The end. My Ethernet lines leapfrog from the gray mining shed, and then the Ethernet there leapfrogs from the pod over there, and then the pod leapfrogs from what we call VoskCoin HQ, or the field building over there, and that's where the actual Verizon internet service begins. So you know, there's a lot of ways to do this. I'm just kind of running and gunning with the basics of what I know. You know, these Ethernet lines, they're copper. They're not like fiber would be better, maybe one day. But this is pretty cheap for what it is, and it gives me hardwired internet connections, and I'm getting good speeds everywhere as is. So you know, hey, it works for now. But I also have this box here because I'm running 2 lines in, but I'm set up to run 2 lines right out. Because I do hope to add 1 more mining structure here, maybe by the end of the year, and I've already got that set up. And at that point, you know, I can just, once again, I love this term, you know, leapfrog right out. When it comes to electricity, I put a 200 amp sub panel in this building, and I am pulling a 125 amps over here for my initial electrical service. Again, I need to get a real service put in so I can get all the juice I need for that building, you know, end game eventually. But this will get me, you know, this is more than enough to, you know, get me started for now. So now to take you in here, we spent the weekend painting the floor. We tried to keep everything nice and clean, and I need another coat on the floor. There's a couple thin spots. I just don't think you can really paint a floor. At least I don't have the skill in one go.
Flashback.
I'm about to pass out. The irony is I'm sitting right next to 2 AC units, mini splits. And here I am like, oh, I'm not gonna turn them on. Why? So hopefully the flooring paint dries quicker. It's hot. Getting after it though. Putting in work every single day. I sealed the wood with some kills I had, and then I put down Home Depot's porch and floor enamel. I've used this on garage wood steps before, held up well, I mean, an epoxy probably better. But you know, my cost, I actually had most of the paint that we used already, so that's free. Then I bought another can that we had to go into, and we're definitely gonna be using it on the second coat. So, you know, materials all in for me. I spent 50 bucks on the floor. If you count everything that I had already bought, I had some extra material sitting. I mean, it's a $100 paint job on the floor. You can't get into even the basic epoxy shield kits for that price. Granted, I do like those. Maybe I'll regret it. Maybe I won't. Subscribe to find out, because I'll tell you the truth. That's for sure. Ooh, this floor is still kind of tacky though. It's sticky. I'm kind of scared to walk on it. So as you look around, you see all these outlets. Every outlet you see that looks normal is 120 volt. They're all what they're called home runs, basically their own circuits. I can pull a lot of juice in here from a lot of different places if I want to. You can see an L630R over there. That's a 240 voltage outlet. You know, I can run a PDU on there. I can run a server off of that. And most notably, I want to be operating on 240 voltage for most of my equipment, for the simple reason that at a higher voltage, you're using less amps, which does equate to a small electrical saving on your actual electric bill. But more importantly, it increases density because I'm limited by amps. So if I'm drawing a lot of watts, but it's at a higher voltage, then you're using less amps. Basically, you can deploy twice as much gear with the same footprint. Taking you into my panel right here, again, very simple. Only thing I want to add, it's kind of redundant again, is just going to be a panel surge protector. I've got one on the actual service that this is drawn from, but hey, you know, I want to put a lot of people to take the electrical surge bullets in between my actual gear, which is much more expensive, you know, comparatively. For the mini split design, I just kept it real simple. I've got one on each wall. It would have been better to stagger them so they're not blowing right at each other, because the thermostat for these things are just internal. So it's actually right around here on the side. And you know, they could be blowing right at each other and end up thinking it's a lot cooler than it is. But this was really designed to just have one operate, and I'll cycle them every couple months so not one guy has to do all the work around here. And I'll just go from there, because you can't like overbuild this stuff, because if you put a huge unit in here, as if I had this absolutely chock full of hard drive miners, then it's just actually not gonna cool right if I only have a few. You'll end up having cool air, but it will be humid. I know, so much to learn. No matter what though, this cedar paneling, I think it looks cool as shit. I'm sure some people will make fun of me, but I wanted to put a wall covering up for many reasons, largely because I'm insulating the walls, and you really just need to cover that stuff. It's not what I want to be breathing. And my whole, you know, end game here has been to keep this nice and clean. That means I won't have to clean my hard drives. This is gonna be a dust-free environment, especially when I'm operating like this. I do think, and this is something I kind of overlooked in the design, sucks for me, that I am going to put an exhaust fan in. How and why though? Probably gonna put one or two on the sides of this gable. I think I'm gonna put two small ones on the sides of this gable, or this transom, I mean, in this gable. And then I'm gonna put some intake vents over here. I need to look at the wiring. I have pictures, you know, of everything before the walls went up, and see what my options are. But I probably just want to put some intake vents and then some outtake exhausts, and that way I can just get free cool air in the winter instead of paying to run a mini split. You can also only cool down to 50 degrees with these. So if I'm trying to cool inside and it's cold outside, I run the risk of freezing these, which are all the weird hurdles of cooling with a mining farm. These are the unique obstacles that data centers have had to overcome over the years. Ultimately, I definitely would have been better served to use a data center grade unit for that, but fuck it, here we are. Let it rip, let it run. I'll figure it out, replace it down the line or something. At this point, you know, I've bought these things, they're installed, I've paid, you know, I've invested a lot into this. When it's all said and done, you know, I've basically put 25 grand into this shed. which is a lot. But the shed is bigger than it needed to be. I have redundancy on things like mini splits. Like, there were a lot of ways I could get the cost down. This could have been cheaper if I used like a Home Depot grade unit or like a Mr. Cool and I installed it myself. But I just know the limits of my available time and how many things I can kind of tack onto my to-do list. As much as I would love to DIY literally everything, I just can't if I really want to scale and get this gear, operational and really focus on building out the mining farm as far as like building and adding rigs, as opposed to like building sheds and installing HVAC on them. So I got to choose my battles. If you're looking to get into this, make sure you understand that, like, you don't have to do this. Like, this would be a setup very well suited to your house. Like, put this in your basement where it's probably already cool, right? Put this in a spare bedroom. Put this in your garage. Put this in just a little freaking watertight box, right? On your porch. There's a lot of different ways you can go about this and accomplish this. For me, I've drawn a hard line with putting more mining rigs in my house. I've been mining a long time at a very large scale, or at least in high quantity for myself, whatever. The point here being is that when we moved, we made a pact, and this wasn't just Alexa, Miss Vosk pushing this on me or anything, which, by the way, huge shout out to her. She was in here helping me do the floor the whole time. She's very talented, very incredible woman, just like Tails, who's incredible woman as well. I'm just surrounded. I'm a lucky guy. I got great ladies around me. Both of us just wanted to get the rigs away from us, right? They cause parasitic loss on your AC in your house. Not really hard drives as much, at a smaller scale especially, but like the Bitcoin miners, the bigger ASIC miners and things like that. And you just start to feel like you're surrounded by work, because as much as I love this and it's a hobby and it's fun and passion, it's also grown to a level of work that I do it like all day, every day. And you just start to feel like you never stop working, or I'll just work on that. But like this way, I separate it. It's in a different spot. It's in a different building. It's just better for me personally, my mental health, probably my physical health and all of that. So I'm sure I'll get some criticism of like, why didn't you just put it in your house, dude? This is ridiculous. I get it. I see both sides. But one thing I also think about, and like I'm joking but kind of serious, let's say all this stuff doesn't work out and it goes belly up. Well, backup contingency plan. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Green Shed Airbnb at the soybean farm. Yep, welcome to the soybean farm. You can stay in here. We got AC, and I don't know, I'll turn all these into a freaking Airbnb. We got the green Airbnb. We got the gray Airbnb. We got the white and blue Airbnb. And you know what? Screw you guys, saving our costs. I'll put a shared bathroom right here, and then we're good to go. But in all seriousness, like, I have this infrastructure that has a tangible value, and I could always just slash these wires and sell them. I can also sell this hardware if I'd like to. And granted, things like, Bitcoin miners are very tied to Bitcoin mining profitability in that market. But hard drives, it gets me excited in a way like graphics cards did in the beginning of my mining journey, because graphics cards are multi-purpose hardware. Hard drives are multi-purpose hardware. There's a lot of things you can do with both of them. They have a much more reliable street value. And as we continue to do higher resolution everything, higher file size everything, storage is at a premium. How many hard drives can they make, right? At what size? Can they scale? At what price points? You get into hard drives now, it depends where it goes, right? This could be a good buy just on hard drives in retrospect, because I don't think any of us really expected things to inflate at the crazy rate that they have. And we may, unfortunately, still continue on that trajectory to a very similar, or even, just any kind of inflation, even half as high as it's been, is still going to be really high. My point here being is that this gear may look cheap in retrospect if we continue down this hellhole of hyperinflation globally. If that's the case, then I may be sitting pretty on hard drive price. I don't plan to liquidate this, but I think you're naive if you don't think about every option, a contingency plan, like, oh man, everything's crushing down if other things hit me in life, and I just end up in a really bad spot, right? So I run through everything, and so to round it out, I plan to let this stuff run forever, but I have thought about, well, what if things don't work out? What if I need cash? What if whatever? So the next steps for me, I'm going to roll another quick coat on the floor and let that dry. And I'm gonna, it's probably stupid, but I'm going to just out of pride here, I'm gonna try to start throwing some gear in here by the end of the day. And I can say that within 7 days of taking receipt of this, I was operational. I could do it right now. So I can check off my box right now if I wanted to, but I want the floor to look a little bit better and to hold up better long term. Especially with wood, I really want to seal it. But the hard drive mining shed, bare bones, is done. I'm gonna throw another coat on the floor. I'm just gonna throw some quick shelves in here and get the gear in here where it's nice and cool, which will increase my mining profitability, because right now I'm running all of my hard drive miners in VoskCoin HQ, which is basically a 2-story garage warehouse, and it's hot in there. I mean, it's around 100 degrees in the upper level. You know, at the peak temperature of the day. I'm in Virginia. It's not super hot, but it definitely gets hot. It's humid, and there's no sort of HVAC in that building. I just have box fans running on this gear. So I need to do that, you know, get this gear in here, get it deployed. I'm going to make a final decision on what shelves I want to put in here. Put 3 shelves in the middle. Like I went over this in detail if you've been following along with this series, in the actual like planning, schematics of building this out. And then the only other loose end I need to tie up is getting a dedicated service, you know, for this hard drive mining shed, or just another service where I can pull half of it and get that full 200 amp capacity so that I can utilize this in all of its glory eventually, someday, one day. I am constrained with scaling this due to capital, because hard drive miners are expensive. Even if you're DIY these XCH farmers, hard drives, generally speaking, are just very expensive. Their returns are not that lavish, right? I've been fortunate to get some of these miners into review, but I'm also just straight up buying additional rigs and hard drives. And you know, to put it into perspective, a $3,000 rig is earning just a couple bucks per month right now. If Chia goes on a tear, a couple bucks will turn to several dollars, tens of dollars, $100. Like, could get crazy in a parabolic bull run. But the point here being is this is a lower ROI, return on your investment. But I think it's a safer, it's more conservative, at least for me. Like, this is what I'm doing. I'm not here to promote this or push this on anybody. This is a snapshot in my journey to either success or absolute failure. So again, you know, hey, my name is Drew Vosker on the VoskCoin YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed the content. If there's anything I didn't touch on that you'd like me to talk about in the next video, please let me know down in the comments below. I've been really wrapped up in this hard drive mining endeavor lately, and it's been interesting, challenging, fun. Ultimately, I'm having fun with this. I think, you know, because right now I don't have that great of a electric rate. It's around 10 cents per kilowatt hour. I'm working with the company to one day pull 3-phase out and then strive to get towards 7 cent per kilowatt hour electricity rates, which is probably gonna be the best I can do until I can turn this field into a solar panel field. That's the real end game dream with all this. But the point here being is that these are super low energy consumption, which is just really well suited to my current situation as opposed to Bitcoin mining. But there are some elephants in the room with VoskCoin mining, you know, as a business, and that's the Bitcoin halving coming up, which is going to, at the current trajectory, just absolutely decimate my Bitcoin mining operation. But Chia is also going to have a halving, which it can absolutely have, and I'll be well into the green as far as how much coin I'm earning compared with how much electricity I'm burning. But it's going to be pretty low returns for the, at this point, tens of thousands of dollars that I'm dumping in to this hard drive mining endeavor. As always, time will tell, and we'll see where it goes. And no matter what, I'll give you the real deal here and how it plays out in the long run. So that's all I got today. As always, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know in the comments what you liked, what you didn't like. Share the video. Just, you know, I really appreciate your support on the video side of everything that VoskCoin does. And as I finally get to a situation where I can focus more time on building out, you know, the mining farm and the infrastructure, you all that still tune into the content, I mean, I don't want to sound redundant. like the mini splits. I really appreciate you guys, seriously. And I know I've been super grumpy, dealing with a lot of issues, and especially like the air-cooled mining farm build-outs. But some of you have left really cool comments, supportive comments, or reached out to me on the VoskCoin Discord server or the VoskCoin Talk forum, and even over email. I mean, I appreciate that. I appreciate the input, and I'm working on getting back to everyone that has reached out. And I just want to like really state that like it doesn't go unnoticed, and like it matters to me. Like I do appreciate it. You take the time to reach out, you know, to any degree, to offer, you know, support or help or your expertise. It means a lot. So thank you, and I hope to see you on the next video.